Alright guys, what is up? This is Mihai and welcome to the full review of the Galaxy S10. It has now been over a month since the S10 was released, and after several weeks of using it daily, I feel like I have formed an accurate opinion about the device, which I will share with you. What I've noticed is that most YouTubers either focused on the S10e or the S10 Plus versions, and honestly I haven't seen too many reviews of the standard version, which to me is the most complete and no compromises version of them all. If you're coming from a previous generation Galaxy device, you should expect the biggest upgrades to be in the design, specs and cameras. So to start it off, you can find the S10, this variant, the standard one, in three colors: Prism White, Prism Black and Prism Green. I've got the black one, so this is the one you will see most throughout the video. So in my opinion, the biggest improvement I would say is the display. It's a big true edge-to-edge screen, a dynamic AMOLED Infinity O display, Samsung calls it. Its size is 6.1 inches and the resolution is Quad HD+. Basically it means it has a 550 pixels per inch density. That means you won't see any pixels, none whatsoever. In fact, right out of the box, the phone doesn't even come set up with the highest resolution it can display. It's set up with Full HD+, which for most people, myself included, is more than enough, and you won't need to set it to Quad HD+, because on one hand, it will drain your battery faster, and the extra crispiness you get, it's not necessarily worth it for everyone, so keep that in mind. As I was just mentioning, the display is a dynamic AMOLED one. Samsung's displays have always been great with high contrast, punchy, vivid colors, but they have taken this to a whole nother level, making it one of the most color accurate as well. This is now, hands down, the best display on the market. Also, the camera cutout, the hole punch camera, doesn't really get in the way of anything, and it's small enough that you won't forget it even exists really fast. This is especially true with the standard S10 because it has just one camera hole, but even for the S10 Plus with the pill-shaped double camera hole. And as of now, it's the closest technology allows us to get to a true all-front display without giving up on the front-facing camera or getting creative with a sliding mechanism or a pop-up camera like other manufacturers do, because no one can actually vouch for how long will those mechanisms last in time. Any moving part is not as good as no moving part, you know. Okay, so to go over the specs real quick, well, honestly, the numbers really don't mean anything at this point. With a price tag of $1,000, you can expect to have the best Samsung has to offer, and they certainly deliver. The phone has an in-screen fingerprint scanner. It was a bit of a mess at launch with no match errors popping for 3 out of 5 tries when you were trying a fingerprint scan. But after the software update, it was greatly improved, and it's now a very nice feature to have, and absolute bleeding edge tech if you want that sort of stuff. However, one thing to mention is that as of now, regular glass screen protectors won't work with the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, except a rather expensive one from Whitestone. It's called the Whitestone Dome Glass, and it has a fairly difficult installing process as well. Regular plastic screen protectors do work, and the phone even comes with one out of the box, and it feels great. I don't plan to change it anytime soon. Moving on to the battery, it's a 3500 capacity one with fast wireless charging 2.0 with 12 watts. I will make a separate video on that, but the battery life is really impressive thanks to the new processors and Samsung's software improvements, and it will easily last you through the day even with heavy use. Another new feature is the reverse wireless charging, wireless power share they call it, which allows you to charge other phones, and it's especially useful for your accessories like the new Galaxy Buds. It has a charging speed of 4.5 watts, which doesn't make it that fast, so that's why I'm saying it's mostly useful for accessories which have a small battery. Moving on to the storage and RAM, you have the option of 128 gigs up to 512. My version is an 128 one with 8 gigs of RAM, and you either get a Snapdragon 855 in the US market or Samsung's own Exynos 9820 processor, which is the version you will find in Europe and I believe India and other markets as well. And the Snapdragon version does better in benchmarks indeed, but as far as real life performance goes, you won't notice any difference. Alright, and moving on to the point I will probably cover the most in this video, which is the cameras. I say cameras because there are 4 of them on this device. This is something I didn't expect them to improve on a lot, but they have, and it's quite a nice surprise. It is now one of the best smartphone cameras on the market, competing with the Google Pixel and the iPhone. Therefore, we have the standard 12 megapixels variable aperture lens, which is mainly the same from last year's S9. Then we have the 2x optical zoom lens, also a 12 megapixel sensor, and then there's the ultra wide, the newcomer to the show. It's a 16 megapixel sensor, which brings a whole new perspective to the table. It's surprisingly cool, and it gives you a much wider range and a different point of view. This one doesn't have an optical image stabilization like the others, but you won't need it at this focal length. There may be some distortions if you try to do subjects with this lens, but for abstract and architectural shots, this definitely brings a fresh, unique look. Then we have the front-facing camera, which is a 10 megapixels one. Honestly, this is an upgrade compared to any phone at the moment, and it can record in 4K. That's also a plus. I don't take that many selfies, but it's a pretty good quality one and nice to have sometimes. The video recording has greatly been improved. This is something the iPhone was always better at because of their image stabilization, but that is no longer the case. The S10 brings the super steady feature, which will make even videos taken while running look very smooth. However, as of now, this feature is limited to Full HD. But to me, it looks like the 4K recordings stabilization has been improved as well, and I'd rather opt for 4K recording rather than Full HD in most cases, unless you have some action-packed footage. And as a bonus, you also have the only smartphone camera which is capable of HDR10 plus recordings. Another area which was vastly improved is the AI, which thanks to the new neural processing unit does some amazing things. Scene recognizer features have been around for years now, but machine learning has gotten so good lately that it's only now started to feel like it does what it was supposed to do from the beginning, and that is to help any amateur, no matter of their photography skills or video skills, to take great photos with the best automatic settings instantly with no fuss. And in most cases, as far as I've seen, it does just that. One characteristic of the S10's camera to keep in mind is that it tends to overexpose, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because you can easily adjust it. But it does that so that it won't lose any details in the shadows, so that's not such a bad thing after all. In fact, precisely that feature turns into an ace on its sleeve, because thanks to that and its truly high dynamic range, the S10 is capable of photos like these. And as you can see, it's taken directly into the sun, and still the phone managed to keep the details in every other part of the image as well, especially in the shadows. And not many other devices can do that. So yeah, I had fun trying to give the camera a hard time with difficult scenarios like this one. And I was pretty shocked at first how well and easily it manages to do that. The only minor drawback is that the S10 doesn't have yet a dedicated night mode for nighttime shots like Google's or Huawei's, but it was confirmed that it will come with a software update. And I can go on and on about the cameras because I have tested them extensively with hundreds of photos and videos over the past few weeks, but my conclusion is this one. It's one of the best pocket cameras you can have in 2019. And of course, it's after all a matter of taste, which photos you like best from the iPhone, from the Galaxy, from the Huawei or the Pixel, I don't know. But it's gotten to that point when you can't really say that any of these are bad cameras. They are all great cameras. And the last thing I will cover in this review is the software part. Out of the box, it comes with Android 9, Android Pie that is, but the most significant change is Samsung's One UI interface, which really simplifies everything and pretty much gets rid of the bloatware for which Samsung's devices were known for and that I personally deeply disliked. One UI also focuses on keeping everything lower on the screen, so everything is easily accessible, and this, especially with the increasingly bigger and bigger displays nowadays, it really makes sense. One more feature I really like, and I turned it on immediately after I took it out of the box, is the dark mode, which pretty much makes your menu and notification bar and everything black. But it saves on your battery since this is an AMOLED, and the black pixels are actually turned off, so they don't use any of the battery's energy. But also I like the way it looks, and it's way easier on the eyes, especially at night time. And probably the most anticipated change, and a very welcome one, is that now you can customize what the dedicated Bixby button will do. It is 2 years overdue, but it's certainly a good thing. For some of us, most of us who don't like Bixby, you can now set it up for one press to open a certain app, any app you want except other assistants like Google's, and it will open Bixby with 2 presses, which really minimizes the chances of you accidentally opening it up. A few other features worth mentioning that this phone has, and Samsung has spoiled us with them across the years, are the IP68 water resistance and SD card slot for expandable storage, and a very rare thing these days, a 3.5mm headphone jack. I believe this is one of the last phones to have a headphone jack. So I don't know how much longer will Samsung include it, but it's very much appreciated. That being said, in my opinion, this is the most complete smartphone you can get in 2019 so far, and even if the price tag is a lot, it definitely feels like you're getting what you paid for. Alright guys, that's been it. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please feel free to leave a comment, like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one.